when you're raised in chaos, you think that chaos is love. So when things are peaceful, you'll create chaos. You'll create division. You'll create discord. Sometimes we see abuse as a form of love. So we wound up in a heated argument. And in that heated argument, he approached me. I felt myself black out. Something happened and I came back and he had been hit in the face.
And how did he react?
We got divorced 2 years later. 2 years later, he just couldn't deal with, it hurt him so bad that he just couldn't recover and come back, because I had to go through an experience over 50 years in order to realize that I matter. 50 years before I realized that I matter, and I still struggle with that today. But that particular day, apparently one of my suitcases flipped open. I call them the suitcases of life that we carry with us all the time. And we have to open them, we have to look at them, we have to hug it, we have to have a conversation with them. But when you just put a suitcase away on a shelf and you just act like it don't exist, eventually it's going to have its own voice on its own. And it's as if the moment is happening right now. It isn't like when the suitcase opens, it asks permission. Hey, do you mind if I step in here for you? Because I got some things I've been wanting to say. No, the suitcase opens and it jumps and it's like, ta-da! I tried to commit suicide 3 times.
Wow.
3 times. 3 times. And all of it was based upon I wasn't being approved and I couldn't take it no more. I had one recently about...
This is the 3rd try. So here we go. So please tell me something that you like the people that are listening to know about you. Tell me about yourself.
Tell them about me. Like what I told you? Or it's like, no. So, to know something a little about me is that I consider myself to be someone who is a fluidity coach. What that means is to help you to slow down and reset your nervous system. The reason why I decided that this was a gift that I'd like to share with just regular, everyday, normal people just like me, because in school, I became my first client. So I were going through all the lessons, all the psychological lessons, the homework, all the treatment plans and everything that we're doing, all the case studies. I decided to add myself. And what I noticed was that if you take my background of my mother being abused, while she had me in her beautiful belly, of me being abused once I was born, of my mother and my dad being separated, of me being forced to take care of my sisters and brothers from the age, sisters, I don't know why I said brothers, my sisters from the age of 9, and I had to comply, which means that do their hair, make sure you clean up, here's some money on the table to go to the grocery store and to cook whatever you can make. She had to work long and hard. And so as I look back at those decisions and those predicaments as I was in, and as I became older and had a forgiveness experience, I really realized is that she did the best that she could with the emotional intelligence she had at the time. So my mom was the first person that I had compassion for and empathy for and sympathy for all at the same time.
Compassion, empathy, and sympathy.
At the same time. And that's when I experienced my first moment of emotional flooding. That is used, the term is triggers, but the reason why I kind of shy away from the word triggers is because it sounds like an assault. You have to attack something. Something has to die. You have to kill something. And I'm not trying to kill myself. I don't want to do an assault against myself. I'm not trying to get rid of myself. I just want to welcome all the different parts of me and see how I can, for lack of a better, for something better that I guess people will understand is self-soothe. When you're younger, you put the bottle in the mouth for the baby, or I suck my thumb, got that little thing right there. So I sucked my thumb when I was younger. Now what that translates to when we're older, that could be a glass of wine. That could be drugs. That could still be, abuse, because sometimes we see abuse as a form of love. You know,
Wow.
yeah, we see it as a form of love. And I can go into that more also, as in when you're raised in chaos, you think that chaos is love. So when things are peaceful, you'll create chaos. You'll create division. You'll create discord in your own life and wonder why you're not a champion in your own life.
When you're raised in chaos.
Yes.
So definitely our background influence
Yes.
in who we are. It's
Yes.
not a determined factor, but it definitely influences in how we act and how we react.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. That
So
it
your
influences.
background, that's part of who you are now and your mission and like.
Yes. Yes, it is. So I fell in love with people. Mm-hmm. I fell in love with the imbalance of how we want to be, but who we really are, and how our nervous system controls everything. And I mean absolutely everything. I'm going to give you an example. I'm always saying, I'm going to put myself out there first so y'all can understand I'm just a regular person just like you. I just decided to just share a gift, and in that gift, maybe we can partner together so that your life can just be a little more fluid and your nervous system can slow down. You can live a little more peaceful, and you can take the world around you with a little more of your senses, and kind of just show up in a way that's just a little more peaceful, a little more welcoming, a little more loving in that particular regard. So my nervous system showed up real bad. The first time I remember this, and it broke my heart, and it broke my husband's heart at the time when I was married in my 20s. So we wound up in a heated argument. And in that heated argument, he approached me. And when he approached me, and this might be hard to understand and hard to believe, but I can only explain it according to how I experienced it. He approached me. We were so heated that I felt myself black out. Something happened, and I came back, and he had been hit in the face.
Wow.
I cried. I was scared because I didn't know what in the world just happened when I came back. I punched my husband just because he made a step toward me while we're having a heated conversation.
Have you ever been physical before or?
Never been physical before. But that particular day, apparently one of my suitcases flipped open. I call them the suitcases of life that we carry with us all the time. And we have to open them. We have to look at them. We have to hug it. We have to have a conversation with them. But when you just put a suitcase away on a shelf and you just act like it don't exist, eventually it's going to have its own voice on its own. And so since that suitcase of the abuse of my father when I was younger, of straight A report card, works well but talks too much, you better go upstairs and take all your clothes off because this is not good enough. So with that component of being beat by dad, being beat by mom, now I have my nervous system is overflowing. So I'm walking around with anxiety that I'm not in touch with. So when there's fear that comes to me, the body remembers. The somatic nervous system remembers, and that suitcase is flipped open, and bam, there it was. I fought back. For the first time, I fought back, but it was an innocent person.
And how did he react?
We got divorced 2 years later. 2 years later, he just couldn't deal with it. Hurt him so bad that he just couldn't recover and come back. I'm sure there was other things, you know, that were, you know, looming and things like that. We tried counseling, and it was something that he just wasn't interested in. But I know for sure that put the icing on the cake.
So to reach to that point of defensiveness, obviously your childhood had a lot to say in that moment. Want to talk about that?
Yeah, a lot to say in that moment. So as I reviewed that moment in school, because it took a while for me to kind of review that moment, to get over the embarrassment of it all, because I knew his family knew what had happened. His best friend knew what had happened. And now I showed up in spaces where I didn't apologize to myself. I didn't come off the cross myself. I had already crucified myself to the point where when I showed up now, I showed up like I'm not worthy to be in this space anymore. And showing up that I'm not worthy to be in this space anymore means that now I have to create chaos in order to make sure I'm removed from the space because that's what I believed. Yes.
So back then you already was a fluidity coach, because you use that word a lot, fluidity.
Yeah. The reason why I use it is because I realized that we are the sum total parts of all of the experiences and how our nervous system interpreted all those different experiences. In other words, say you have a person who's like, I have a friend that's like this, a trust fund baby, okay? Which means that
What is that?
trust fund baby, or they always had family support.
Okay.
And so therefore, when it comes to any tension in their life, it's very minimal. They don't know exactly what it feels like. Their nervous system doesn't experience that. So they're a little bit lighter. So their choices are lighter. The people that they're around, surround themselves, is a whole lot lighter. When they enter relationships, it's a little more lighter. It's not so much of being on alarm or being of high sensitivity all the time. They can enter spaces and it's just like, oh, I like that about that person. Oh, you're so nice. So they come in just a little more free and a little more open. Okay. Where when I enter a room with my head down. Even though I'm looking straight at you, my head is down because I'm wondering if I'm going to be approved in this space just as I am. Just as I am. Why? Because I was not approved in any spaces before I got here as a grown adult. Then I got everything that's going on with all my suitcases. I don't want anybody to see my suitcases. So then I stand up and come to attention and make sure everything is perfectly, the lipstick, the eyeliner, everything has to be perfect because I don't want you to see how deep my faults are. Because if you see how deep my faults are, you might not want to be my friend. You might not want to be in my space. And therefore, I'm going to experience some abandonment again if I show up exactly, authentically as I am. So therefore, yeah, I got to wear a mask. I got to be a chameleon. I got to be green over here. I got to be yellow here. I got to be purple here. But when I'm red, I can't let you see my red. If I let you see my red and I'm authentically me in my red, you won't be my friend. So therefore, I will just be who I need to be in that space.
So fluidity, in this case, is changing to become someone that you need to be at a certain point in time.
At a certain point in time. And sometimes we can do it at many facets throughout one day. When people say, I'm so tired, and I've heard this, and I've said it even to myself at the end of a day, a week, or a month, I'm exhausted. I'm just totally exhausted. I'm exhausted chameleonizing and making all these changes. So how can I be a mother when I'm already exhausted before I even wake up in the morning? How can I be a wife when I'm already exhausted before I even wake up in the morning? How can I even be me, a sister, a daughter, a cousin, a niece? How can I be any of these things when I'm exhausting myself every single day? So as the years go on, yeah, I'm tired. I am so tired. I put on my best face for work, but when I'm done, I'm tired. I put on my best face for my children, but when I'm done, I'm tired. I put on my best face, for, my husband, my friend, my boo, whatever, my gentleman, whatever I want to call him, but I'm exhausted and I'm tired. So now you got a tired person who's now run down. And what do we do when we run down? We become angry.
Yes.
Our frustration tolerance become very low. So now I'm an angry person and I'm blaming and I want everything to just leave me alone. I want to get rid of everything, but I can't do that because I created the life that I have. I can't get rid of anything. So that means now I have to look at me. Well, I don't want to look at me. Even that's exhausting to look at me. So I'll just keep on the road that I am until I just bump my head one day and then decide that I need something different. I don't know what I need, but I need something different. Maybe that's a workshop, maybe that's a girls' retreat. Maybe that's, going, to see a professional. Maybe that's writing and journaling. Maybe that's going for a mindfulness walk. Maybe that's starting some new hobbies. But in all of it, none of it is actually sitting down and just, and just slowing down, just slowing down, through reflective conversation with yourself and also through, looking for some intentional support where you can just take off everything and just be totally vulnerable and totally exposed with just one person one person who can just count you as, I matter.
Wow. So you have mentioned in a couple of occasions suitcases. So we were talking before and you were explaining the concept of the suitcases.
Yes.
But please elaborate on that.
Okay, on the suitcases. So every time there's an event in our life, it creates a suitcase. The first suitcase for me was maybe when I started school. I remember starting Montessori school, and that was a very happy suitcase. My grandmother, there I learned that I was a genius. I could sit down, I could add and do math, and I would get all my work done before everybody else. And in Montessori school, the teacher would just give me something else to do. Sometimes she'll send me to another classroom, and I would read to the kids and things like that. So I felt like I was wonderful, awesome. I found my space, in the earth. I found where I belong. My grandmother was the one who was affectionate. So out of all the calamity and chaos, I got grandma. I'm wonderful. I'm smart. I got all this identity with that one. So I got that suitcase nice and pretty. But then when you got another suitcase that says, all of this doesn't matter, and it's your father, that's your first love. So that's a whole nother with little girls. Daddies are our first love. My first love said, that don't mean nothing to me at all.
Wow.
Not only that, but I'm going to bruise every part of you to let you know just how much I hate you. So grandma loves me, but daddy says that means nothing. So therefore now I have a broken heart because I can't please the one person that I truly, truly, truly glean from. And it's going to teach me how to show up in this earth with every man that now I meet for the rest of my life. So that was already defeated. I was already defeated.
So that was your first suitcase.
That was my first suitcase. So this suitcase canceled out this suitcase. So literally this suitcase got put in the trash, and this suitcase became my nice little soft pillow, nice and neat, because now I got to figure out how to make daddy love me. Because if that suitcase that grandma has doesn't work, then I got to find another. I got to put new things in the suitcase to figure out how my first love, how can I get him to accept me? Because being perfect is not the way. Being perfect is not enough. So what can I do in order for him to look at me, to accept me and bond with me, and stop sending me upstairs to take my clothes off butt naked and beat the crap out of me like I'm a slave with a belt? What can I do? And nothing until my mother left my father when I was 9, nothing mattered. I still was not affirmed by my father. So I was stripped away from someone who's my first love. I had nothing to give me a foundation of, that I'm just a wonderful person. So, and then I go from that into, you need to make sure you take care of them. You don't matter. Everybody else matters. And if you don't do that right, guess what? You're going to get beat for that too. And I say all this to say, it's not a bashing of dad. It's not a bashing of mom, and it's not a bashing of grandmother. What I'm simply doing is putting myself on the block. I'm saying, here I am, I'll go first. I'm saying I'll go first. Whatever you want to say, however you want to judge, however you want to explore, however you want to partner, I'm saying I'm going to go first. I'm also saying that I'm just a normal, regular human being. That's it, with experiences. So if your experiences mimic mine, lesser or greater or in between, guess what? I still count you as important, wonderful, and I still count you as a human being that deserves a voice, that deserves to be heard, that deserves to know that you matter. Because I had to go through an experience over 50 years in order to realize that I matter. 50 years before I realized that I matter, and I still struggle with that today. I have my processes and everything I do on a daily basis to get myself to connect. Because when you got 50 years of just screaming and chaos, now you have to unlearn that chaos is normal. And now you have to learn that loving yourself and being proud and being empathetic towards yourself is now your beautiful life.
So, my understanding, these suitcases are a pack of or a situation
Yeah.
that impacts you deeply to show you like this is how life works and this is how I should respond to it. And based on what we have lived in the past, we have different suitcases that we don't just discard. We just keep in the back. And at any given moment, depending on what happened, they can sprung and take life on itself, and we react like what happened in your case.
Yeah. And it's as if the moment is happening right now. It isn't like when the suitcase opens, it asks permission. Hey, do you mind if I step in here for you? Because I got some things I've been wanting to say. No, the suitcase opens and it jumps and it's like, ta-da! And you're sitting here like, no, get back. And it's like, no, I got this. Because I felt your nervous system respond from when you were 7 years old and little Timmy pulled your hair and the teacher looked at you and said, you got to get out because somebody hurt you, but you got in trouble and you got sent to the office. And I'm just showing just how you can go from that to something extreme as what I experienced it, but it's the same message. I didn't do anything wrong, but still I'm in trouble. So it's the same message. So yes, when it flips open, that's why you have to go back and get yourself. You have to go back. Think about someone who, don't say someone. Okay, so if I'm in a situation, right, and I'm in a restaurant, okay, and I feel like while I'm in a restaurant, it's like, well, why are they giving them water? They didn't ask me if I wanted water. Well, why is that table getting bread? They didn't say if I wanted some bread. It can just be there was a change of shift of the waiters or waitresses. So you were gone. You were during that little moment of time, that little hole, that little black hole of time. And so therefore they're getting the attention in that regard with those things. And they just, you just kind of just got slipped through the cracks. That's it. But no, I would take it personal. Oh, I can't believe, no, excuse me, they got bread. Why didn't I get bread? And I mean, I got attitude about it. Well, I didn't get any water. Why have you refilled my cup? You automatically refilled their cup. And it's just like, and I just was angry, very angry because I wanted to be appeased. I wanted to be counted as important. I want to be counted. So little things in life, and I remember my gentleman telling me this a couple of years ago. He said, you act as if everybody owes you something. And I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. As I replay the tape of my life, I did. I acted like in every situation that I was in, that somebody owed me something. Somebody needed to respond to my presence. Somebody needed to make me feel like I mattered, like I was seen, like I was there. And I've been acting this way, not knowing. Not only am I disrespecting other people, but I'm disrespecting myself in these spaces. Why would anybody want to be around somebody that every time you go somewhere, they find something wrong? Just for attention. That's it. Just to be counted and just to have attention. Something as small as that came from a suitcase.
Wow. And then change the perception of you and the eyes of all the beholders at the moment.
All the beholders at the moment. Now you become a person who's irritating. And you wonder why you don't get invited out as much to certain places, certain things. Or they just say, oh, that's Kareem. When somebody say, oh, that means now you have set up a mannerism of yourself where people just kind of just accept that's who you are. Not that it has to be great, but they're just like, well, they're not going to change just the way they are. And, I take her in small doses.
Wow.
So now I'm being tolerated.
So when did you learn about the suitcases, about the fluidity? Yes, you went through things in life, and then you just decided, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to go study. How did this girl get to the professional that you are, capable and enabled to give counseling and tell others, this is what you're doing.
Yes.
This is what you should be doing.
Got you. I started school. I went for my psychology degree first. I was like, okay, let me just see how all this works. Now, mind you, I'm going to school just for myself. I didn't know that it would turn into a life work. I was curious. I knew I wanted to go and get a degree. So let me choose something because I'm curious, because I didn't finish college when I started at Morgan State University back when I was 20 years old. So I didn't finish, and I've always wanted to finish. So I said, let me go ahead. I was 40, and I said, let me go ahead and go back to school and finish my degree. So I go back to school at 40, and I choose a path. And unbeknownst to me, as I chose this path, I was going to be my first client. So as I'm going through all of the Rogerian, the Gestalt, all the, the DBT, the CBT, and we're looking at the hippocampus and, how the brain responds. And I'm sitting there like, oh my goodness, all of this makes so much sense. And I'm looking at myself. And as I'm looking at this makes so much sense, I'm taking it back to my therapist. I'm like, I need a therapist. I need somebody to talk about this with, because who can I talk about? You can't go to a friend. I start talking to, you can't just go to a friend and just have these arbitrary, just deep conversations about suitcases. I'm not ready to do that. Like, I'm 40. I'm just not ready to put myself on a chopping block, with everybody, because I'm still scared to be me. I'm still just don't want to impart all the deficiencies, because it looks like everybody's having a good time. And I don't want to ruin nobody's good time. So I said, well, let me get a therapist and just kind of talk through this. So my first therapist, there are a lot of Sherrys, so you wouldn't know who she was. Sherry knocked it out the box for me. She was my first person that I would say that I met that loved me unconditionally. I really took to heart our relationship. She really saw me, and I know it's her job. But my thing is that I had the right therapist. I had the right therapist to connect with where I was, where I didn't feel like I needed to come in and wear a mask or keep a veil over my face or have my head down when I walked in. I didn't feel any pressure to perform when I went and saw her. And I think, I know that's very important. When you choose someone to work with, no pressure to perform is one of the basic things that you should be looking for. Because the goal is to come in, stripped down, naked, ready to lay down prostrate, and just says, I'm ready to flip these suitcases open. Let's just go. Let's see what comes first, and let's just go ahead and dive in. And that's it. Bring me a box of tissues. Go ahead and just bring me a workbook. Give me a pen. Give me some things to fiddle with my hands, whatever that you got. Let's go through some different life cycle cards, whatever you have. Let's just go for it. I am just going to unequivocally just go ahead and just give you all of me. And as a result, I give myself all of me as well. That's what she was for me. And that's what she is for me, still continuing to this day. Believe it or not, I've been back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So in me starting with with the education, with the psychology degree, and me exposing a lot of things in myself, it hurt a lot. And it hurting a lot in me having conversations, I realized that there are other people who hurt a lot too. So if I would mention something right here, then somebody might open up just a little bit because I mentioned something. Then I mentioned something over here to maybe another friend. Well, they open up a little bit because I mentioned something. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, we connect on different levels. Because I might have mentioned something else different when I mentioned something over here, but yet it's stuck like glue. And now, oh my God, I matter. I am normal. They get me. They understand me. So then I realized I do have a place. It scared the crap out of me because I never had a place before. I don't know what it feels like to have a place. So therefore it's like, so what do I do now that people are bringing me into a place and a space where I'm being accepted? That was scary for me, to be accepted for the first time at 40 years old. It was scary to the point I had to make sure that I put myself in a place where I didn't self-sabotage. I went home and had conversations with myself. I really did. I had conversations with myself in reference to how I looked, how I talked, How did I explain things? How did I receive? Was I open? Was I talking too much? Did I allow them to talk? Did I receive? Did I not receive? What was I wearing? What did I smell? Like literally, I went through every part of myself to see if, okay, well, if it happened because of this, because I wore this and I look like this, then this is what I need to look like in order for people to receive me. That's how complicated it was for me in order for me to establish friendships and show up in a room. It went very, 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 very deep down to the shoes that I wore. I wanted to make sure I copied everything so that I can make sure I'm received in this space, copy everything here to make sure I'm received in this space. So now I am chameleonizing again based upon approval. So I'm still not being myself. I'm still masking myself up to be approved and accepted. I had one girlfriend, her name is Alicia Kennerly. Alicia made me finish school. Made me finish school. When I'm telling you, Alicia made me finish school, she was a drill sergeant, and she said, you are going to go all the way to the end. You're getting so much work in it just for yourself, but people need you. They need to hear exactly how you're making this transition. And she said, I don't know anybody else like you that would just sacrifice themselves. And I never thought about what it meant when she said, sacrifice yourself. She said, because you tell everything. You just tell everything. She said, I can never be a person that just tells everything, but then at the same time, make other people feel comfortable with the fact that you tell everything. She says, I love you so much more and give you so much more of me because you just tell everything. And that's when I realized it is important for us as human beings to just tell everything. Guys, when y'all get together, do you tell everything? Do y'all have those kinds of conversations where you're vulnerable and you just really just lay down prostrate and give them everything?
No, definitely not. We hype the good moments.
Okay.
We hide our faults.
Okay.
So no, everybody wants to appear perfect in a world where social media elevates perfection. And if you're not okay, then you're not cool.
Yeah.
You're not in demand.
In demand. I liked how you put that. You're not in demand. It's the likes, it's the numbers. Yes. It's about being in demand. Now, to be fair, there are some people, they're good. They do what they do. They're good at what they do, giving information, out to the world and things like that. We're not talking about them. Not talking about them at all. I'm just talking about people who actually, when they're listening, they're like, that's it. And there are people that are going to say, and that's the audience. That's the audience. Some people they got their gifts and talents working from them. It's moving, it's shaking, and everything is wonderful. I give kudos to them and I love them. I even have some of those people who are my friends. All I'm putting out there is that there's a process that I had to go through and that I'm still going through in order to accept myself so that when I do look at those people, I don't feel bad about me. I'm not trying to measure up or put myself in a mode of where are my likes? How can I if I don't have likes, then I'm not, as good as this person, If I'm not accepted by this person, I'm not part of this group, then I'm not all that great. If I don't have this hair color, then I can't be accepted. If I don't talk this way, then I can't be accepted. So my nervous system never settled. I'm living my whole entire life with a nervous system that is so out of whack that I can't even be settled with myself and show up in any type of spaces where I feel 100% confident about me. And I mean 100% confident about me, even with the degrees, even with the children, even with being a daughter, even with having my grandmother, even with the friends that tell me, Kareem, it's okay. And they give me hugs and tell me, that I'm wonderful or I'm good or you did a good job here and things like that. I still didn't feel comfortable in my own britches. And that's a part of life that I realized that emotional experiences equal your somatic experiences, which means that everything that affects you, whether it's a death, a loss, a gain, whether it's having happy moments, whether it's abuse, verbally, emotionally, intellectually, whether it's being left and abandoned, whether it's feeling guilt, whether it's being afraid, all of that controls the nervous system. And for us to show up as if everything is all right, it isn't all right. And it's okay for it to be all right. And that's all. When I talk about being a fluidity coach, it's okay for it not to be all right. I'm a Pisces, so I can do this all day. So if you could just think about the Pisces and the fish, and my grandmother would tease me about how we just don't know which way the fish are flowing whenever we're around you. I understand that now, because you just didn't know how it was going to show up in a moment, because it all was determined about who was in my space, what was in my space, how I felt about that particular space, how I didn't feel like about that particular space. So the goal is just to get to a point where you are comfortable with just being you, and your nervous system, you can just slow down, sit back, kind of enjoy life. Take a breath. I always say, just become hilariously happy. See the butterflies, the rainbows, the leprechauns, the words of the Bible going across the sky, or, all your spirituality, whatever you may believe in. Give yourself a hug to self-soothe, read a book, start doing some writing about how you really feel that you are and how you see other people in your space. Write some love letters. Allow yourself to build a crystal clear pathway for joy, love, and to be hilariously happy. Your happy can always get happier.
So I guess that's the difference between being a chameleon and being fluid.
And being fluid.
Chameleon is you're faking it for others. You're like, okay, this is how I supposed to act at this particular moment, versus I decide to take this path because this is what works for me.
Works for me. Yep.
And I'm going to avoid friction and just be fluid as water because of me. I guess that's the difference.
Yes, it is.
Was chameleon versus fluidity. Now I get it. So you went through that transformation in your college years.
Yes.
You entered as a psychologist. You understood like, oh, wow, this is what's been going on in my life.
Yes.
So now what I'm going to do with myself. So you continue on the path.
Yes.
And from a psychologist to a fluidity coach, there was a difference.
Yes.
You entered with some expectations, and then what happened?
And then... And then I just decided that to have these conversations was important, because I care about other people who just want to connect with the words that I am saying, whether it's surface level or deep level, that they really connect with suitcases and how they flip open at any time. Like you can be in a Starbucks, ordering your coffee, and you're just really giving the person at the counter, the business. Yeah. Something done flipped. Something has flipped that moment, because you would say, oh my God, that's not me.
Yes.
But it is. It is. It's just a part of you that just never had a voice and spoke. And so it chose a moment to speak. That's all. You were irritated. You were agitated by something. The suitcase says, oh yeah, I remember a time we felt like that. And I'm going to go ahead and say something about that. So it is you. But let's take it and just look at it as a part of, you're just a rose with just these petals that are opening up, and you're just trying to be open up, and you're just trying to receive more sunshine. So every time you see something just as small as that, just kind of just think, did I respond in a way that was just a little bit more than how I really wanted to be perceived to be? That's all. Did I respond in a way that was just a little bit off from what I really wanted to perceive to be? And what did I leave in the other person in my response? That right there is huge. Not only are you looking at yourself, now you're looking at, what did I give to the world as a result of my different response? If we really look at our deposit in the earth, like we said, our legacy, your legacy goes beyond your life insurance policy, goes beyond taking care of your kids, goes beyond buying investment properties. It goes beyond all the money in your bank account, your stocks, your 401ks. It goes beyond that. What your legacy is what you deposit into the earth, and your whole life will. Your whole life will. What did you deposit in the earth? When you go into the ground or when you're cremated, what is it that you deposited in other people that was long lasting?
So from that girl that walks into a room, heads down.
Heads down.
Looking you, but heads down because you don't feel worthy.
Yeah.
To the one that now people look up for advice.
Yeah.
What had to happen?
What had to happen? A lot of writing. I got plenty of notebooks of a lot of writing. But even in the exploration of writing, because sometimes my writing could be in the morning. My writing can come because I watched a movie and there's something happening. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to write down the words of that line. And then I start dissecting myself from that line. It's just an aha moment. A lot of writing, but not only writing, but I go back to the writing and really look at it over a 30-day period. That one thing that I wrote, because it had value and it rose up in me, that means a suitcase was touched. So let me give it voice and look at it at least for 30 days. At least for 30 days. Let my voice, let Kareem, not it, let Kareem say what she wants to say. And let me, as the adult, 54-year-old Kareem today, respond to that 19-year-old and listen to what she's saying. And not only are you responding to the 19-year-old, not only am I responding to the 19-year-old, I'm letting the 19-year-old know, I got you back and you're safe now. I won't show up like that anymore. I will cover myself because it's reminding you that you left a hole. You didn't protect yourself at this time. So I need to come forward because I'm going to do it for you because you can't do it because you didn't learn yet.
Oh, so suitcases can be modified. Suitcases that you built or you packed 20 years ago.
Yes.
Based on your experience and what you have learned can evolve.
Yes.
So next time the opportunity appears,
yes,
and that suitcase would be aggressive now because you pack a different set of pants.
Yeah.
So it's a different response.
A whole different response. And that's when your nervous system starts to settle and come down. Suitcase by suitcase, experience by experience, moment by moment, self-compassion by self-compassion.
So that's the fluidity.
That's
that
the fluidity.
You teach.
That's the fluidity. When people come into the office, do you know the first thing that I do?
What's that?
I leave a notebook and a pen. It's sitting right there. And I just say, go ahead and just have a moment for yourself. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. And I just let them sit there. And I said, there's a pen and there's a book. You can write anything that you want down, whatever comes to mind. I don't care if it's your grocery list, you know, what your schedule is like for Saturday, but just whatever comes to mind. Just write that down. And then when I come back in, now that they've written all that down, I asked them, I said, so where do you want to start? What is it that you want to, what is the conversation that you want to have today? Is it from anything that you wrote down, or what you wrote down, you now emptied yourself and now you can be fully present here in order to receive just for you? Because sometimes you need to unpack all of life before you sit down and say, oh, all right, I'm ready to receive now. I'm ready to make myself important. I'm ready to prioritize myself in this moment. I'll pick that up when I leave, but I'm going to prioritize myself right here in this moment. Or it could be, oh my goodness, this right here, I got this, and I'll still say, okay, where do you want to start? How do you want this conversation? Because it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. There's nothing in here for you to feel like you need to back up, feel nervous for, you know, feel like you get nothing to be defensive or anything like that. You don't have to do that. Just relax. Just matter of fact, you pick what's a color, what's a pillow, what is your calming color? And I'll put some colors out and I'll just say, what is your calming color? Or I'll bring out some paper and say, what is your calming color? And that way they can have that paper right there, you know, something to feel, something to touch, you know, something to look at. Sometimes I'll even have like, well, what music would you like to have on right now? Because maybe it's sound that you need at that moment. Because everybody's nervous system responds in a different way as far as what they need for comfort. So, and that could be, you know, you just need to have a cup of warm tea, or maybe it might just need to be some ice water. Whatever that needs and whatever that looks like for you, I make sure you set your space up so that you can now relax and just have a conversation.
I just want to pause for a moment and ask you to consider subscribing if you haven't done so. If you know of someone that you think that this type of content could be of value, please share and share the word of health. Let's change the concept of health. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Please give a like, subscribe, and share. And now back to the video. So how did the idea of counseling came to be? Once you finished psychology,
Yes.
you did a course on fluidity. How did the fluidity?
Oh my God! How did the word? That's what you get into. That's what you get into.
First time.
He said, "Where did that come from?"
Yes.
So I adopted that fluidity from looking at myself through the eyes of my zodiac sign. That's where it came from. I kept kind of just looking at that, looking at how salmon, you know, when they swim upstream, you know, during their migration. And I was looking at how they just swim for miles and for days and for months, you know, in rough waters in order to just go and lay eggs, you know, so that they can now be rejuvenated, renewed, start a new process, start, you know, with a new generation, you know, that explores. And then I realized that, wow, that's life. We come in and we just push and we push and we push and we push just so that we can make a deposit somewhere, just so that we can be somebody, claim something, you know, build something. And in that push that we get exhausted, we get tired, we just don't renew ourselves. So I came with fluidity in reference to how can we as human, how can I as a human being make that trek where it just feels a little more palatable and I can just enjoy it just a little bit more. Because as we're going through life, there's going to be this. And as we're going through life, there's going to be that. And as we're going through life, this is going to spill over. And as we're going through life, this is going to stand up. And as we're going through life, you know, there's going to be a slap and there's going to be a tug as we're going through life. And then I realized that there's always a moment where you get to a stream when you get past and it's just nice and calm and everything just comes. And that's when I realized we can have that more days than not if we just slow down and just take all the different areas of our life and look at it as just what it is and see how are we giving to those spaces and how are we giving to ourselves in those spaces and how are we giving to others in those spaces through our nervous system, because everything that we do predicates upon our nervous system. And I mean everything. If you look at some studies, and I didn't put any names down, I do apologize for that, but there are some studies on the somatic nervous system. And it talks about how the body keeps score. There's an author who wrote a book called The Body Keeps Score. And in the body keeping score, there, even during your happy times, it leaves an imprint on your nervous system. When you have arguments, it leaves an imprint on your nervous system. When you are rewarded, it leaves an imprint on your nervous system. And this is how we flow through life. So depending on how we're able to deal with challenges or what we were taught about challenges and how we show up in challenges, what we were taught about happiness, what we were taught about how, you know, that we give and we respond to all the different challenges and all the happy times in our life, that determines how we flow through this life and give to other people. So I always say that we set up a crystal clear pathway for ourselves, and through our experiences and as we process our experiences, if we're honest, we can rediscover ourselves with greater clarity. We can have more confidence and more self-compassion. So in having that self-compassion and going through that road and trying to dispel, fears of me being enough, that's when I realized is that in order for me to feel like and show up in spaces where I am enough, is that I have to be one with myself. I have to be able to be fluid. I always say whenever I'm talking to couples is that if you're here and he's there, well, then you're just two antagonizing people together. But if you slowly lean in towards each other, eventually there'll be a flow and you'll become one heart, and you'll be able to have compassion for each other's soul. And you'll go and you'll flow with a rhythm just like this. And you'll be able to live a more peaceful life where you can navigate it now from a position where you can see the kindness and the openness rather than thinking that there's any other agenda of being offended.
Okay. So you do individual counseling, you do couples counseling,
and also
family?
juvenile as well, and family. Yes. But I like to say that I'm more of a consultant more than anything else because of having the way that I like to, have these conversations with people. Because when they enter the room, my goal is that they really feel like they can take their shoes off, they can take their hat off, they can pop the bra, Because that's what we do at the end of the day. It's like, once we pop the bra, it's like, okay, ain't nothing else going on. We're good. But you can really reinvent and restructure your life. At any age, at any time, you can reinvent and restructure your life.
Wow, that's very, very important because we have been taught that after a certain age, you are who you are.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Just the way I am, and that's it. I'm like that.
Can you imagine not evolving? If that's the case, then why aren't you 5 years old? Why aren't you still 20? Why aren't you still 30? I put our life in different quarters. You got your first quarter, if you're born to 25. Then you got 25 to 50. You got 50 to 75 and 75, till death, until we leave this earth and we're finished depositing, what we are here to deposit unto the earth, good, bad, or indifferent. So with those particular quarters being said and set up that particular way, it's as we divide those quarters, I sit with each and every client and we divide those quarters wherever that they are. They create a designer lifestyle based upon that full quarter. So in other words, if you're 19 and you're still in your first quarter, then you still can now create a designer lifestyle that's up until the age of 25. And then when you get to 25, now you can re-explore, exactly what your designer lifestyle looks up until then. Now, mind you, at every age, at every level, when we put kids in there, as we have aging parents, as we have, as we get married, as we decide that, we don't want to be married at all, as we, find out we can't have children, as we find out, that we have different ailments that may come up, as we finish school, not finish school, all these are different life transitions that we actually, that we're involved in. So the goal is to sit down and provide you with some insight. I partner with you so that you can see that there is insight and you can use foresight in your life and you can create a designer life. We look at the whole life wheel. There are 8 different areas of your life that we sit down and explore together and really connect and see, is there anywhere where you feel, you know what, I can make an adjustment right here and I can feel happier about what I deposit in the earth for myself and for others as I make an adjustment in how I show up socially amongst my friends. I want to make some adjustments right here when it comes to my employment and how I show up with my coworkers and with myself and the deposit I want to leave at that particular organization. Because when you're with an organization, you're there to help an organization grow, not just to get a paycheck. You're a value-added person to help that organization grow. So in every area of your life, the goal is to serve your life as a value-added person in every area of your life, every day of every moment of every day.
So we are constantly evolving. We have the capacity. It doesn't matter if we are in the first quarter or in the third quarter.
Yep.
There's always room to improve.
Always room to improve and always room to evolve. And there's always room to care. All you're doing is caring. It's just caring. Think about it. When you're being fluid, you're caring. You're not being stuck. You're not saying that this is just who I am.
Yes.
I refuse to, open up in this space. I refuse to, give you the benefit of the doubt. I refuse to be a little more compassionate. I refuse to accept you as you are. This is just who I am. I'm not going to give you anything more. I am done. This is it. Well, that value added service that we are to give as human beings, well, you just cut that off at the knees. So now you're repelling people instead of bringing people in. You're not being fluid anymore. You're not loving another person. You're not partnering with another person. You're not partnering with the life just with you on your own. That's a lot of frustration. That's a lot of work in order to repel. It's a lot of work to repel. It's a lot of work to show up as this person who is, I don't like you and I don't like it. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. I remember there was this quote of, it takes the same amount of muscles to frown as it is to smile. The same amount of muscles. I charge anybody to walk around one whole day and smile and see how the world responds to you. Just smile for one whole day. When you feel that your face is smiling, just automatically smile. You're in the car, look at somebody and smile. You will be amazed at how far a smile goes and how you fluidly connect with another person just with a smile. That's it. Just with a smile.
You just have to make the decision
Just
of
make
smiling.
the decision. Just to smile.
You can either smile or frown. It's your choice.
It's your choice either way. No matter what decision that you make, you're still evolving in your life. Your life evolves based upon your actions, whether it's a smile or not a smile. You're still evolving the life. You're still moving the world around you with that decision.
Well, that's what you've decided to do, to take all your experiences,
Yes.
good and bad, and transform it into a course, into a method
Into a matter.
of transforming those suitcases
Yeah.
into something else,
Yeah.
something useful, something that you are not ashamed
You're not
when
ashamed.
when they show up, when they
You're
pop up.
not ashamed. Allow yourself to be a rubber band. Just be a rubber band. That's it. Just allow yourself to just have room to adjust at any time. Whether it is your belief systems, whether it is, what you see, whether it's what you've been taught, whether it is how what you see your values are, how you feel about another person, place, or thing, how you see the world, how you interact with the world, social media, everything. How you feel. Just allow yourself to be a rubber band. That's all. You ain't got to pop the rubber band. You don't have to snap it against your hand. Just allow just a little bit of, just see what it feels like to just do one thing that's a little bit different than what you've been doing. Just one thing. Even if it's, today I am just going to get up for 30 days and I am going to kiss my child on the forehead before they go to school and when they come home. That's it. Just one shift, one little change. Even if they're a teenager, just do it. Just try. Even if they push you away, just put forth the effort. Do you know eventually they're going to go ahead and put their head down? Do you know now my son at 30 years old still comes to me and does like this? He puts his head down because he expects to have that kiss. I've stretched his rubber band to accept one small little moment and touch of love from me. Where at first it was like, Mom, get off. No. One little small change has connected me from him giving me. And I know some people might be like, that's all? Fluidity has to do with, you're getting your son, a kiss on the forehead. It's the acceptance of that love from me. It's what's important. He accepted a small gesture of love from me where before he would not. Now it is not a fight. Now it is a openness. that he has for me. It is actually an expectation because he comes with me, comes to me with his head down. This 6'2" dude comes to me and puts his head down before he leaves my presence.
But this is just one example.
That's just one example.
When you're fluid, you can achieve.
You can achieve something on just a small level. In marriages, I call it that the marriage is the client.
Okay.
Not the man, not the woman. It's the actual marriage that's the client. It's the sanctity of marriage and two people working together as a team and looking at each other with compassion, bringing to forefront what suitcase keeps you from bonding fluidly with this person. What is it that just gets in the way from you just being fluid with someone that you chose as your ride and die, your one and only? And now something has come up so strong that we're now having this conversation that we're now having. Let's really dive into the suitcase and see what it is. What created this stop point that you have shown up in a way where you're just so resistant and you're not fluid and you're not open to someone that you say, I love you dearly with all of who I am to the ends of time?
Wow.
What shifted? What suitcase flipped open? What hurts you so bad that you said, this reminds me of that, and I don't like you because of that, because you remind me of that? Well, let's look at what that, not the person, the experience reminds you. That's why I say the marriage is the client, because the marriage is just two people having experiences together.
That could have been an experience within the couple or something outside the marriage that happened years ago.
Yes.
That now that suitcase is presenting in this marriage. So it's suitcases and changing them to our advantage with the fluidity.
Yes.
Or the ability to choose what you want to be at the moment.
At that moment. That's why I say we are human beings living a human experience, making human decisions with the emotional intelligence, divide that up, that we have at that moment in time. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but at that moment. So when life presents itself and you feel a block, then look at where that block is coming from, because it didn't just show up because of you. There's a suitcase that has a block in it that needs to be explored. So let's explore it together so now you can be a little more fluid in life and not repelling other people and not repelling even yourself as you're trying to enter these spaces in the quarters of your life. Because you can have the desires of your heart.
Yes.
You can have you can have every desire of your heart. And I mean every single desire of your heart. Are you willing to create a crystal clear pathway in order to do it? Let's have the conversation.
And conversation. It's communication. That is something that we nowadays don't experience a lot. Yeah. And it's not, again, to bang on technology, but nowadays we sit down with our phones in our hands and we barely talk or we barely look at each other face to face. And having that conversation, like that communication, it is key. And what you're doing with your coaching, that fluidity is the importance of speaking and resolving. Like this, like what do you want to talk about? Where do you want to start?
Right.
At the end of the day, you are digging, and you find that suitcase. Because at first, someone would, like, you know what? I know what I'm here for, but I'm not willing to open that suitcase.
Yeah, I'm not going back there.
What suitcase are open?
Yeah, I'm not going back there. Right, I'm not going back there. Yeah.
So having the difficult conversations that at the end of the day says, you know what? Yeah, I have this that I can't deal with anymore. And this is the root of my problems. And what can I do?
And what can I do? I love the fact that you said that, we're dragging that suitcase and, sometimes we just don't want to open it and explore it and things like that. And I know some people will hear that, okay, we're going in the past and things like that. I'm not trying to go into my past. And it's not so much about going into your past. It's about those pivotal emotional markers that have happened in your life. And when that emotional marker happens, it leaves an imprint. It leaves an imprint on your heart. And for women, it leaves an imprint on your heart. For men, it leaves an imprint in their chest, on their ego. It leaves an imprint. And when it leaves that particular imprint and you just kind of just swallow it and you're like, okay, I will be all right. I'll be all right. Well, no, it's going to get scratched. That little imprint, that mark is going to get scratched. And every time it gets scratched, it hurts a little bit. Then it gets scratched. The men become a little more aggressive, a little more madder. They're not they might not be as sweet, because men can be sweet. They might not be as sweet as they want to be. And like I said, this is not for everybody. I'm not speaking to everybody. I put myself on the chopping block, and I'm just letting you know about my experiences and how things have flowed through me and how I've done. This has worked, for me in reference to help me to show up just a little bit more settled in my skin. That's all. Just a little bit more settled in my skin. As you said earlier, that even if you look at people who are having dinner, and I do this a lot, and I love this. You're sitting down at dinner and you see a family, and even mom is on her phone. Like nobody says grace. I haven't seen a family said grace in so long. I'm just like, where did it go? Where did grace go? But I also understand that could be in different spaces, different religions, different belief systems and things like that. But to keep going to restaurants and to keep seeing people on their families on their phone and to keep not seeing, families saying grace, it sounds like an epidemic. It's just, for me, in my eyes, it just feels like an epidemic is going on. Even when you were talking about the social media, and because it used to bother me when I would see people that I know getting married and have these beautiful, elaborate weddings. And I'm like, oh my God, he didn't choose me. I was with him. Why didn't he marry me? And it just became just this funnel that just spiraled me down, because it was a constant comparison and not really giving people space to have the right to decide who, what, when, where, and how at that particular moment. So everything just becomes such a burden. It becomes such a burden when you're looking to fit your circle into a square peg, as we said. And it can be very challenging in order to live this life and move throughout this life, and you feel alone. Did I tell you I tried to commit suicide 3 times?
Wow.
3 times. 3 times. And all of it was based upon I wasn't being approved and I couldn't take it no more. I wasn't being accepted as I was and wanted to be perfect, because Daddy said that it doesn't matter what you do, it's not good enough. So if any space I showed, my first divorce I had, that was my first time. Because I felt I couldn't save it. I did something wrong. It was bad. And if that's the best I can give in a marriage, I don't need to be here anymore. Period. My second time was another relationship that I had. And after he left me, because I always say people leave me, which is a very interesting language I was using as well, in order to create this channel and this belief system of I'm not good enough. So people keep leaving me. So after that particular relationship, I wound up having another attempt then. Whenever my family and I have rifts and it just feels like they're not connecting with me and not accepting me as I am, I had another one. I tried another attempt then. I actually really gonna put myself on a chopping block here. I had one recently. About 6 months ago, I had another thought. And this will be another day of explaining how suicide is an entity of force. It's an actual, real, present help. And no one would ever know, because it is a very private relationship. I don't want you to know. This is my own private relationship, my own private burdens, and I don't want you to know about it. So no, when I decide, I don't want you to talk me out of it. So for those who feel guilty about not knowing when they lost a family member to that, please have self-compassion, because it's not your fault. And I can tell you that until this day, my family never knew that was something I struggled with. So I want to give you grace in that and let you know that you are loved and it's not your fault. So with that being said, that's how extreme me not having an identity and having a broken nervous system to the point where I just can't get settled. Like every time something major happens where I feel like I cannot be accepted in this earth as I am, I go right back to that suitcase. I gotta go right back to my writing experiences, because I have it labeled now, of different things that have happened in my life. And I go to that particular page and I wrote it down already. And then I flip it over to see what is it that I say about myself now. So now I can give myself new language in reference to that. So when we're sitting down in the room and I say, friend to friend, I mean, I understand you got to bring your copay, your insurance card, and, your out of pocket when you come into the office. But the goal is to have you feel like you're home to yourself. Like when you come into the office, the room, whatever you want to call it, when you come in, you are comfortable and you sitting down with yourself and you're like, yeah, I want to feel more of this. Oh yeah, I want to feel more calmer. I want to feel more happier. I want to feel more connected. I want to feel worthy. I want to feel like I've taken ownership of every part of that I am. Yes. And that I am okay with this evolving. And I want more of a natural connected spirit, on this earth. So when we talk about fluidity, if you are feeling emotionally overwhelmed and burdened, and you said to myself, I've gotten so hard over the years. Yes. Or you say to yourself, I just wish, I could connect better. I just wish I treated, my kids better. I treated my mom better. I just wish I treated myself better. I just wish I loved myself more. If you're just wishing to just show up in this life in a way where it doesn't feel like you feel pressured to perform, and you want to just show up lighter before you leave this earth in whatever quarter that you may be in, then let's break bread, as my good friend Anita Hacker would say. She said, anything is possible when you break bread, when two people come together and just sit down and have a conversation. Anything is possible when two people sit down and just have a conversation.
Okay. So conversation.
Yes.
That word has been floating around a lot during our conversation.
I like that. It's cute.
One of the things that we talk, we're always talking.
Yes, we are.
And a book came out. You know where I'm going now.
I know where you're going. Oh my gosh. You will bring it out? Yes, you are. Here we go. Here we go.
The conversation.
Yes.
This is the book that I have never heard before. We started talking, and now I cannot stop reading
it.
And this summarizes when we as humans are willing to strip of our pride.
Ooh,
and
pride. That's huge.
And we are honest to the world. Whoever is out there listening, like, this is me, raw.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And not just me. I don't know how this convinced.
I know.
Some of his friends, and they're like, oh no, to be honest and crude.
Yeah.
Raw as well. This is it. And when you have honest conversations, and it's not like you are masquerading, you are acting up. For anyone that's out there, I don't want to look bad. So I'm going to put myself as the hero of the story, of the one that has it all together. Right. And we're just faking it, and we think we're right, and this is honest conversations.
It's honest conversations, and it is a very great example of men being fluid with one another.
How did you came across it with this book?
It's so funny. It's interesting. A lot of things have happened around my like the late 30s. And back in the day when people would get together, random cookouts, we'd show up at each other's house. We, would have music and DJs in the basement playing, and everybody would bring a dish, maybe to one person's house. We would get together. So I got a good girlfriend by the name of Karen. Karen read that book. And when she read that book, she decided, I'm going to make this a discussion amongst all my friends. So it started with just a few of us. And we got to reading and talking about it. And then all of a sudden, at one of the cookouts, one of the men put his hands on it. And we started talking about, what each man, what their personality was. And it was like, well, you more like Richard. And they like, well, who is Richard? And so we started telling him who Richard was in the book. And you like John. Well, who is John? He the one that does, yada, 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 yada. And so then it became like, well, I want to read a little bit and see who it is that y'all talking about, who this person is. And so from that, it grew into, now let's see which man can identify with which man. And let's see with the girls, which man can she identify with the man that she's had experience with over the years. And so now she could see, and we could stop saying that, well, nah, he gonna change for me. So one of those questions has come up, from the book, that no, a man is set in stone of who he is, has already been grounded. He knows exactly what he's looking for. He knows exactly how he wants things to be. And when you are pushing on him to shift or to change for you, well, then you're repelling him. And that came out of that. So if you're repelling, then how can you turn that around when now you are flowing with that particular man or that particular woman? And now the two of you can now accept each other and join each other and partner with each other in your relationship. That was one of the conversations that had come from that when I was in my 30s that I incorporated in my education in my 40s. Now you're talking about things jumping and coming together. But in here, which I think is very interesting, he says how men and women can build loving, trusting relationships. How men and women can, number one, build. Number two, love. Number three, trust. Those are huge as far as those are components, where we can really bond with each other, whether it's a component in in work, a component with your kids, a component with your mother and your father. Those components go throughout all relationships. It creates fluidity in all relationships. It says in his moving yet practical book, Harper undertakes a journey, both universal and deeply personal. Universal and deeply personal. That's the same thing as working as a fluidity coach. It's for everybody. It's for everybody. And deeply personal, I always say I put myself on the chopping block. Along the way, he shares pointed conversations that lead to intimate and personal revelations. He talks to friends and strangers, married, single, and divorced, and learns about their private struggles, emotional vulnerabilities, and real concerns, and begins to see common themes emerge. That sounds like you coming into the office, sitting down, I walk out, and leave a notebook. But from here, what we're going to explore, he's a wonderful dude and doctor. What we're going to explore is how building these trusting, loving relationships can also, with one another, also helps you to settle your nervous system as well, which as a result helps you to be also a healthier person in your body as well. So he's connecting building loving, lasting relationships and having these conversations with also your general health and your well-being as well, and how it all works together. It all works together with your heart. It works together with your lungs, your pancreas, your stomach. Your nervous system works with every part of your body, your mind, your body, your soul. So therefore, now it can help you, possibly, depending on how you take hold of your journey, to be a healthier person when you come into his office, because now it's another conversation to be had, because now it's the whole totality of who you are when you walk in, and not just about the registry of your medication management. Let's put your whole life together and see how just maybe you can explore how to be a little more fluid, not only with yourself, but also in all the relationships that you have. But what he loved about that, it was how men got together and were very vulnerable in their relationships, and how they showed up, and in how they determined even their belief systems about women.
And this, just at the title and subtitle, like how men and women can build like love, like you said, love, trust, and relationship. All those three words are commitment.
Commitment.
So you have to be committed to a change, and committed to yourself.
Yes.
And when you're committed, you're responsible.
You're responsible.
You have to take responsibility for your acts.
Yep.
And I cannot say yet, but you're planning something interesting in Panama around this book.
Yes.
I'll just recommend anyone that has the opportunity, get the book, just read it.
Get the book.
Because something's about to happen.
Yeah. It's going to be a great exploration. It's going to be a very good conversation for you to have, say, when you having all your girls around for tea, or the gentlemen around, having the football, gathering together. And when the football is over, they can talk about how, man, I'm more like, Daryl, or man, shoot, me and Kevin, we on the same vibe, because it's about 9 men in there, and they all they're being very vulnerable and telling about how they feel, even how they do love across the seas and across the oceans, and the challenges that come with that, being with a woman who has children. That's in there as well. So it's definitely a learning vibe for all sexes and in every phase of life that you have. Like it is a community book. It really is a community read. And Hill Harper did a good job.
And community it is, because a community is going to be built around this book, thanks to my friend here. So I can't wait for that to happen. I cannot say much, but be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
And
get the book.
At the end is about a commitment with each other, an investment with each other. It's not only, like you said, want to be healthy, want to be physically healthy, you have to start up here.
Up in here.
God,
everything flows from here. Everything flows from here.
So how do we get to become a partner in this journey of fluidity with you?
Oh, okay. Well, you can contact me at crystalclearpathways@gmail.com. That's Crystal, CRYSTAL, clear, CLEAR, pathways, PATHWAYS@gmail.com.
Even the email sounds like calming. I was like, can you say that again?
Crystal clear pathways. And that's the goal. That's the goal, is to have you live in purpose rather than fear.
So do you need any requirement to be a client? A certain, I don't know.
Age or demographic or anything like that? No. Just be someone who's just interested in themselves. That's all. If you heard anything in the conversation, may go, we can have a nice little 30-minute consultation, just have a conversation. And like I said, if you could just get out a notebook and just write down and dump your brain, or either write down what's important to you, or just do both. And let's just have a conversation from that. It's going to be Zoom. We're going to be looking at each other face to face. Some of you might want to come in and sit with me, because I always say it's great to go heartbeat to heartbeat whenever you're sitting down with someone. But heartbeat can also be, felt, over, over the Zoom and things like that as well. So I am open to that if you're open to that as well. But no, just be you. Okay. Just come as you are. But be ready for me to do like this. Just be ready for me to
dump your thoughts.
Just dump your thoughts. And then I'll say, where do you want to start? That's it.
Is there anything that we discuss that we didn't say that you'd like to leave for the audience?
Is that I love you. I love you, I love you, I love you, and I love you. Just that I love you. That's it. That's one thing that I have learned about myself that I wanted to adopt as part of my fluidity, is how I move into the earth, as I meet people, is that I love me. So now I can love you. And every day I remind myself that I love me. Every day. Because that's the work that I've chose to do for myself, to keep myself in this space. Because like I said, I've had the suicidal ideation, I've had the suicidal attempts. Because I just couldn't see that I was important and that I mattered. So I love me. And as a result, I love you. And that's where I start. And that's why I've decided, as my mother said to me when she was passing last year, as her and I partnered together for the last days of her life, she said, if you being vulnerable and unmasking yourself helps somebody, then go for it.
Kareem, Spain. Thank you for caring. Thank you for mattering. Thank you for taking care of yourself, for making sure that you matters, because we know that you do. And because you have taken care of yourself, now you're able to take care of us.
Amen.
Who doesn't think we're worthy to be cared for?
Yeah.
Who think that the people that can help us are going to first judge us, dissect us, and then expose us, and then will be worthy to be of service.
Amen.
And you just did it different, and that's why you matter to us, and we love you as well. Thank you.
I appreciate
for
that.
having this conversation with me.
You're welcome. Anytime.
When are you coming back to announce for part 2?